Hello everyone! Today's video is going to cover me completing the whole Killer archive in 16 hours. But before we start, it took me a really long time and more than that a lot of effort to make this video. So, if you could like it, that would help me out greatly. Okay, now let's begin the video. A while back, by the time this video is out, I was wondering if there's anything interesting I can do in Dead by Daylight, and somehow came up with an idea to try and complete the whole Killer archive in a single day and see what happens. I came up with a few objectives so that the challenge, as I'll call it from now on, wouldn't be as useless of a thing to do, even though it still is. So, let me state them. First, I wanted to see how much successive time it would take me to complete all of these. It's an important thing to know when your archives come out, so that it is easier to understand the amount you'll have to spend on the challenges. Second, I wanted to know how I and my PC would perform during this long-lasting session of Dead by Daylight, because that's valuable information, especially if I were to attempt something similar in the future. And third, I wanted to understand how hard would it be, and also decided to at the end use a specific word that would fit the category. Stay tuned to hear it later. I prepared a little set of rules for this one, which are simple, but are probably still worth mentioning just to make everything clear and understandable. These rules are as follows. This had to be complete in one succession, without disruptions and distractions that are not urgent, which basically means that I wouldn't give myself any breaks unless necessary, and I had to complete all the challenges, but this doesn't include neutral and survivor challenges, or it wouldn't be even possible to complete everything in a day. Pretty straightforward stuff, as you can hear. With all that thought out, I've been preparing carefully. I had a plan in my mind that would let me exert the utmost effectiveness when trying to complete the task. First off, I finished all the survivor challenges and all the neutrals, so that any direction I wanted to take in terms of completing the challenges would be accessible, and also that it would be easier to understand what I still have to complete and what is not included in the challenge at all. I wanted to spend minimum time on anything but completing the challenges, so I came up with fast ways of completing most of them. Also, I developed a sequence of challenges, which was just a map of which challenges were to be complete in what order, which in turn would ease my mind of unnecessary mental effort that I would have to put towards playing the game itself. Sounds funny, but if you play in a serious manner, it's tough, and even tougher after many hours of consecutive playtime. I chose the hardest or the trickiest ones to complete first, because I thought my performance might go down with time, which, spoiler alert, it did, and by a lot. Personally, I find these ones to be the hardest ones, because if something goes south, these are the ones that you actually have the highest chance of failing. You cannot exactly predict how the endgame will go. You cannot force a 100% headshot down, especially considering survivors might DC. And you might not get 4 kills even with the best add-ons and mori if survivors bring a key or get the best luck possible with the map tiles, and are skillful enough to use that to the limit. With the Spirit you'll probably get a 4k anyway, but Doctor is lacking in that regard. I've also tried to prepare as many killers as I could, given that my desire to play Dead by Daylight sometimes is limited immensely by the high amount of problem the game has. Now that my preparations were done, I decided on the date, and only a sliver of time was left before I were to attempt the challenge. Magically, on the day I was supposed to start the challenge, I woke up earlier than usual, and by a few hours, which was helpful if I were to complete the challenge earlier than expected, and could still not damage my sleeping schedule. So I got up, and after brushing my teeth, starting my PC and getting the morning routines done, I began to complete the challenges. There's not too much to say about how it proceeded though, because most of the matches went according to plan, and also I managed to save the sleeping schedule, which was just a few days later skillfully ruined as usual by my own self. Bruh. I will say I wasn't expecting it to be so tiring, and I thought that maybe it would take a bit less time, But well, in the end, these are the answers to some of my initial questions of how tough it would be and how much time it would take. Strenuous is probably the word, by the way. So I completed in 16 hours and 30 minutes, if I recall correctly. By the end I went insane and also I went to sleep, but I'm happy I managed to do what I prepared for and that I got the information I wanted to get. I also would like to say that there are many problems with the game that caused me to end up with the time I think could be quite a bit faster in the perfect environment. To give the most notable examples, matchmaking. It was ruining everything right from the very beginning. I wasn't getting good cues until much later in the day, and also I got lots of rainbows in the end lobbies. Bugs, most noteworthy, the one that makes your game slow and clunky after you play up for about 2 hours or so, which made me restart Dead by Daylight many times throughout the challenge. Thankfully though, all of that and some other stuff didn't make me fail, and in the end all the killer challenges were completed in under a day. Okay, so let's sum it up a bit. Takes about 17 hours if you're well prepared. Some challenges are a bit unpredictable, but most are still easy to do nonetheless. And probably not a good idea to do it in a one big fell swoop. I also should say that before starting this I already had 2 of the killer challenges not completed, but done just a little bit. Hope you can forgive me for that. Alright, for the curious and those who want to catch every fleeing man, link to the full 16 hours video will be in the comments and description, to be as accessible as possible so that you can see the proof easily. Let me know what you think of this whole thing that I did down in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe if you like the content. Thank you for watching and most importantly, stay safe.